Is he okay?
Really far away.
It's a slick car. That's a nice thing. Why don't you buy a kiddish food car with something like I don't know anything about that. Like, no wonder.
In Burlington City?
Yeah. Well, it's coming back from the city.
Well, it's going to Burlington. There was really need for a mall.
Does it have a bench for the front seat? Does it have
Good evening. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we start the meeting, I would like to ask us to observe a moment of silence in remembrance of the tragedies that occurred on September 11th, 2001, when so many lives were lost to terrorism. Thank you.
Bless us, Lord, as we gather today for this freeholder meeting. Guide our minds and hearts so we may work together for the good of our community. Help us to be generous in our outlook, courageous in the face of difficulty, and wise in our decisions. Amen. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, this is to announce that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided. Pursuant to the 2019 bylaws, rules, and regulations of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Burlington, time shall be set aside on the agenda for receipt of public comment. Public comments will be received with respect to agenda items prior to board consideration of resolutions to be adopted. An additional opportunity for public comment will occur later in the meeting. Public comment shall be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Unused time may not be transferred to another speaker. Persons may speak once per public comment period. I direct the Deputy Clerk to enter into the minutes of this meeting this public announcement and the advance written notice of this meeting. Freeholder Hodgson?
Here.
Freeholder O'Connell?
Here.
Freeholder Singh is absent. Freeholder Tiver?
Here.
Director Pulliam?
Here. This time I'd be asking for approval of the minutes of both the public and conference meetings of August 28, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now, we move on to recognition for the evening. I'd like to call up Delanco Police Chief Jesse DeSanto. Chief DeSanto is being honored tonight by the Freeholder Board for all of his hard work and dedication to the residents of Delanco and the surrounding community. He will be recognized by Catholic Charities at the 30th Annual Guardian Angel Dinner on September 21st for his achievements working for disadvantaged populations, helping to inspire and offer hope to those residents who need it most. Chief DeSanto is receiving the Light of Hope Award for Burlington County, given to a person who demonstrates unwavering dedication and support to the county's most vulnerable. Thank you, Chief Santos. We are presenting you with this proclamation and honoring you for your outstanding record of public service. Good. Some of you people realize or know that I also double as the administrator in Edgewater Park, and I can tell you, Chief DeSanto, our communities being so close together, has always done a great job in working with our community, as my previous chief in the back there can testify to. They both did a great job working together in both of our communities, and in light of so much negativity with police forces out there today. It's really great to see that we have an opportunity to really show what some of these individuals in these positions do for the community, and his unselfish acts in working with the impoverished and people less fortunate really is a credit to your position, and we appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for
You're welcome. You want to say something?
I'll just be brief. I just want to thank the freeholders for recognizing this. If anyone knows me, I'm kind of humble. I'm not much of a talker, but I accept this recognition as a award and a recognition to all those who help others. I think it's our life mission in public service to do good and to help others when they're down, and give people a hand up, not a handout. And that's my intentions when I do these things. So I accept this recognition on behalf of everyone who helps those who are in need. And I would like to recognize people who actually volunteer their time, because I like to say that's the most valuable commodity that all of us have here on this earth, is our time. And those who give their time to help others, they're the true heroes and the people that truly be recognized. And like I said, I accept this, and I'll accept the award on the 21st on their behalf. But thank you again.
Thanks, Chief. Next, we're going to have a presentation on economic development strategy. Freeholder Hobson has been working diligently for us in this area, and at this time I'll turn it over to her.
Thank you. So I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to ask Mark Renza to join me. So I'm just going to talk really briefly about our first phase of the economic plan. Myself and Freeholder Dan O'Connell, we hosted a mayor roundtable. So the purpose of that roundtable was for us to make sure that we were reaching out to our local municipalities, the stakeholders of each one of those municipalities, to help us come up with a plan. So we know that we can't do it just from the county perspective, because we're not in every town every day. So we knew how important it was to reach out to those local leaders so we can come up with a plan, and we wanted to make sure that we had heard everybody's voice. Everybody's town is different, the needs and wants are different. So from that roundtable, we were able to get a lot of information. So we had, out of 40 municipalities, we had at least 20 municipalities represented, which was huge considering it was our first one. We will have a next one, and I'll let Mark give that date. But I just wanted to share with you our primary goal is to have a realistic and an implementable plan for every municipality. And that's a huge challenge, and we can't do it without our local leaders. So that was the primary reason for that roundtable. Having said that, I'm going to now turn it over to Mark so he can finish telling you what our phase one will look like.
Yes, as Freeholder Hobson said, we had an excellent roundtable and had a wonderful response. And we learned quite a bit about the challenges that a lot of the municipalities had. We also learned about their successes too. And one of the things that rang true throughout the entire session was that a lot of the municipalities really want to have a good, effective economic development website. And many of them don't have that. And so phase one of the economic development strategy is going to be developing a best practices guide for municipalities to use to help build their websites. And my office is charged with preparing that. And so the goal here is to have that presented at the next roundtable, which is going to happen, we're shooting for October 22nd, and that will be hopefully at the JFK Center in Willingboro. And so we want this to be something that municipalities can use and put up on their websites, tell the story about why economic development is important and why invest in their communities. Also, we're going to be looking at potential funding sources to help these municipalities put these websites together. And so that's just phase one of the process. And at the next roundtable, we're going to be discussing phase two and then so on and so forth to engage our municipal partners.
Thank you. So just in closing, we're going to make sure that we're letting everyone know what we're doing along the way. So as we are implementing phase one, we'll share with you what's next. So phase two, when we get there, we'll share with you what's next, what's involved. So we ask that you continue to cheer us on. We ask that you continue to welcome the partnership that we're needing for each municipality. This cannot happen without our local officials. This cannot happen without engaged community members. So as you go back to your respective towns, please share with them what we're looking to do. Please invite them to come to our meetings to add something to it, because everyone is a stakeholder. We are all invested in Burlington County, so it takes a village, as you all know, to move us forward. So I'm just asking that we all partner together so we can move Burlington County forward. So hand clap to Mark and his team. I appreciate you and all your hard work. We meet every month, and he always has too much information for us to cover in 1 hour. So I appreciate all of your hard work, and thank you for these few minutes.
Okay, we're moving on to the public comments on agenda items only. This portion of the public meeting comment is limited to items on tonight's agenda. Anyone who wishes to speak on another topic will have a chance to do so at the second public comment section later in the meeting. Please note that this is a public comment, your opportunity to provide us with input and feedback. It's not a question and answer forum. Each speaker may only come up once per public comment portion. Do we have any public comments on agenda items at this time? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, we will close this portion public on agenda items. Moving on to resolutions, I would like to make a motion that we approve resolutions I-1 through I-4 by unanimous consent.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any questions? Freeholder Hobson?
Did you say who's going to move
No, I guess I can do that. Or why don't you do that?
Okay, on behalf of Deputy Director Freeholder Singh, I'd like to move items I-15 rather, with unanimous consent.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any questions? Any opposed? Okay. Freeholder Hobson?
Thank you, Deputy. Thank you, Director. So I would like to move I-16 through I-18 with unanimous consent.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? Opposed? Freeholder O'Connell?
Thank you, Freeholder Director. I would like to move item I-19 by unanimous consent.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any questions? Opposed? Abstentions? None? Okay, at this time, do we have any questions from the press? Good evening, David. How are you, sir?
Pretty good.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move to the public comment on non-agenda items. Once again, I would like to note that this is public comment, your opportunity to provide us with input and feedback. It's not a question and answer forum. Additionally, each speaker may only come up once per public comment portion. Do we have any questions on non-agenda items, the list? Agnes Marcella.
Good evening. Agnes Marcella, 42 Cromwell Drive, Chesterfield, New Jersey. Sorry I had to run last month. Seems I missed some fiery comments from the freeholders in response to the public comments. And I get this can be a thankless job, and you need a thick skin to do it. But it's really necessary to throw other people under the bus, other legislators, other municipality people. I don't know. I mean, if you wanted to, or were told that you needed to issue NJNG a road opening permit, then just own it. Don't say it was because Chesterfield settled, North Hanover settled. You did what you did. I mean, it seemed, from what I heard of these comments, again, this is secondhand, that some members of the board were ill-informed at best on what I think is one of the most important decisions possibly of your tenure. I mean, it's an issue that, in my opinion, helped elect you, most of you, so I think you should have deep knowledge of it and not be flailing around for finger pointing. So moving forward, Mayor Romeo from Chesterfield has informed us the plan is for someone from the county engineer's office to check the work at the start and the end of the business day. And then 3 policemen from Chesterfield will be on hand to monitor the work the rest of the day. You know, I don't know if they're qualified to figure out if they're doing a good job or the right job or what's supposed to be part of the permit or not. But, you know, people like Dawn and I will be watching. So the engineer says that if they break any of the conditions of the permit, he will pull the permit. I hope he means that, and we will be watching. Thank you.
Thank you. The next signature I have is Michael Tam from Southampton.
Yeah, I want to bring your attention to a few things.
Can I ask you to do something?
Pardon?
I know I said your name, but for the
Michael
record, just say your name and
Tam.
address.
Southampton Township. A few things, and one of them is transparency in government. It's been mentioned a few times in the beginning of the year. It's mentioned usually at campaign time, and then it seems to disappear someplace on it. Well, I'd like to see this administration here, all 5 of you, by December 1st, change your policies and change your agenda of how you work as far as executive sessions, because basically they're closed sessions for a rehearsal that you come out with at public meetings, as far as I'm concerned. Part of the Oprah Act that was passed in 1974, prior to that, I attended meetings in the 60s where you're sitting there in the audience and all of a sudden they get up, they go in the back room, they come back out again, or they're whispering to each other. That was all allowed back then in the 60s. And apparently by the late 60s, people got up in arms. I think it was 74 they passed the Oprah Act, 1974. And then everybody got pretty good. But over the years, they find ways of circumventing or getting around it and calling things on. As far as I'm concerned, there's only 3 things you go into closed session for. And executive sessions, if you're not before the public and you're kicking things around, they should be kicked around in public. Because explaining something in public, somebody explaining something, one of the freeholders or the director, that's their personal view. If they have the consensus of everybody, it'll be illegal. So that's their personal view. So therefore, the way to do it is to come out in public with a lot of these things and have discussion. Discussion is just as important for the public to watch you as having a vote. There's a big difference between an explanation and a discussion. And that's very important to have a discussion because it brings different views out. It explains things a little bit better than just an explanation, which is a view from one person. And I think you have the most transparent county government in the state of New Jersey if you started doing something like that. Coming out here, discussing issues, not an executive session, except they meet the criteria of where you could do it, but come out here and do it publicly. And that's the way it should be. Democracy is based on town meetings, and it's based on public participation. There's no participation if there's no discussion between you. I mean, you come out here like a Broadway show. Boom, you all dance on the same tune, basically, 90% of the time. It should make it more transparent. And I think you're all capable of doing that, all 5 of you. I think you're capable of making this administration of freeholders one of the best around. And I see no reason why you can't do it. The other thing I have in mind too, did you ever hear of selective representation? Anybody hear of that? Nobody heard of it? Well, I didn't hear about it until this year because I'm a victim of it. Selective representation basically is discrimination. And we have one of the freeholders that has selective representation. Now you can't represent, you're supposed to represent everybody in Burlington County. Whether they like you or not, whether they voted for you or not, you represent them. Not only do you represent them, but they're your employer. You're an employee. All of your employees. You may sit in a $300 chair, you may have a nameplate in front of you, you got a wall in front of you. But these people out there are the ones that you have to be accountable to. There's where your allegiance is. Your allegiance isn't to a particular group, particular religion, or a political party, or a buddy, or a business. Your allegiance is to everybody sitting out here. Now, I feel I've been discriminated to. I haven't talked to the commission yet up in Trenton, but I'm bringing it here before I go there. And all 5 of you, there's one of you involved with it and another one possibly involved with it. And it's selective representation, and it's illegal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Not seeing any more signatures, but is there anybody else there that wants to make public comment?
Jane Franz, 14 Thompson Street, Bordentown City. I'd just like to compliment the last gentleman on what he said, because it has been puzzling to me to see the change that this group has undergone about the pipeline. In the beginning, we thought that maybe you would be with us, and that's been very disappointing. There is still time to stop it. There's still time to do the right thing, to save the pinelands from being disrupted, to keep the neighborhoods from being disrupted. It's disgraceful, and it's also promoting fossil fuels that the governor supposedly wants to stop. And we need to think of the future generations. I fear for my grandchildren that the earth will be too hot when they grow up. And I wish you would reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anybody else?
Hi, Patty Caruso, Upper Freehold. This was a letter to the editor that I planned to submit but never did, so I thought I would read part of it tonight in front of all of you. For the first time in 40 years, there is a Democratic majority on the Burlington Freeholder Board. Opponents of the SRL were hopeful and optimistic that this group, led by Director Tom Pullian, would keep their promises to try to stop this dangerous project. That is what he and Mr. Singh stated at numerous freeholder meetings. Instead, they gave excuses regarding Chesterfield and North Hanover's possible settlements with NJNG. Chesterfield and North Hanover said they settled because of the freeholders. Are the roads now suddenly safe for a 30-inch diameter, 722 PSI natural gas pipeline? What will the legacies of Chesterfield, North Hanover, and Burlington freeholders be? We had hoped that they would make sound ethical decisions, protect thousands of people along a 28-mile route, cherish the trillions of gallons of pristine water in the Pinelands, and protect wildlife and the environment. Instead, they all drank the natural gas Kool-Aid. New Jersey Natural Gas offered millions of dollars, and they forgot who and what they were supposed to fight for, the people whom they serve. The voters will definitely remember your actions, and there will be consequences. It is very disappointing that NJNG is more loyal to their shareholders making money than Burlington elected officials are to their residents. So despite your decisions, which you still could reverse, we will continue to fight the SRL even after it is in the ground. We are truly grateful to the Sierra Club and the Pinelands Preservation. They are the true leaders in this battle, and hopefully justice will be served in the courts.
Thank you. Okay. Do you have any other public comments? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, I'll close this public portion of the meeting. Move on to freeholder comments. Freeholder Ivor.
Thank you, Director. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and reiterate what the Director said earlier about taking a moment to remember what happened 18 short years ago. It doesn't seem like it's that possible. My kids weren't even born yet, and I'm starting to feel a little bit old, but let's not forget what happened 18 years ago and changed our lives forever. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Freeholder O'Connell.
Thank you, Freeholder Director. This Saturday I had the pleasure of attending a dedication of a park in Palmyra in memory of Police Chief Peyton I. Flournoy Sr. Chief Flournoy was appointed police chief of Palmyra in 1959. He was the first African-American police chief in Palmyra, first African-American police chief in Burlington County, and also in the state of New Jersey. And it's speculated that he actually may be the first African-American police chief in the United States. What makes this truly amazing is this was in 1959, several years before the passage of the first Civil Rights Act. It certainly showed some forward thinking by the town fathers and leaders in Palmyra. And I was really honored to be there. There were members of his family that brought artifacts from his time. He was a well-known athlete in Palmyra, and I remember, even though I was a young man, young boy, I was 9 years old when he was made police chief. We had just moved down here from New York City, but I remember reading his name in the paper, I guess over the years in different capacities and stories related to Palmyra. It was a great event to attend. Yesterday, I attended the annual Walk for Life Suicide Awareness Walk from the Human Services Building on Wood Lane Road up to the Health Department. And I'd like to thank the Human Services Department and the sponsors that were there. And if I could, I just wanted to share some information with you about suicide. Yesterday was yesterday was World Suicide Prevention Day. And over 47,000 Americans take their own lives every year, including over 6,000 children. It's really quite shocking. Put that in some type of perspective. I believe in the course of the Vietnam War, we lost about 56,000 lives over the entire war. We're talking about 47,000 Americans, ladies and gentlemen, every year. I don't pretend to have the answers, but I know that there were vendors there, different groups to offer help. And if you have family or friends, neighbors that may need someone to talk to, there are a lot of resources available, and this is why the walk is held every year. I was glad to do it. I encourage everybody to come out. It's an annual event, and hopefully we'll have it again next year. And maybe if we're successful, we'll end up not having to have a walk, but I was happy to do it yesterday. And Freeholder Director, I too want to thank you for having the moment of silence for 9/11. I was honored today to participate in the 9/11 memorial ceremony on behalf of the entire Board of Chosen Freeholders here in Mount Holly. BFW Post 2692 and the American Legion post in Mount Holly invited us, and I was able to attend. And I'm glad to do that because most my colleagues all here to my right, and Balvier, who's not here, they all have day jobs, so they're not able to attend these things, and I'm happy to do it. But, you know, one of the problems I have with social media, and in my age I have a lot of problems with social media, but the one thing I have, and some of you may have noticed that there were all these posts leading up to today about how we seem to have forgotten about 9/11. I don't share that opinion. I think people mourn and remember or choose to remember in different ways. And they're just maybe not as public. Obviously the ceremonies, there aren't as many that were as numerous, but today's was very poignant. They even offered me an opportunity to speak, which I was a little reticent to do. But I shared a story with them, and if you don't mind, I'd like to share it with you. I represented railroad workers, those of you who have been to these meetings before, and I was a locomotive engineer. On 9/11, we represented the railroad workers that operated the pass system under the World Trade Center. Two of my friends, one operated the last train to unload people at the World Trade Center, and any of you who have maybe ever taken the PATH train, it's about 30 minutes to get from trackside out to the street. They had the biggest escalators I've ever seen in my life in the basement of that building. And my friend was met by a supervisor who told him we don't know what's going on upstairs, but just get out of the building and get away as quick as possible. He made it to the street and luckily was able to get to safety. He headed uptown. The second friend of mine operated a train, and he was the conductor, which put him in general charge of the train. And when he came in, he detected an odor, and we were never able to really figure out what the odor was. What we think it might have been is the jet fuel, because the planes had already struck the tower. Anyway, he refused to unload his passengers. Now, the railroad is set up along the lines of the military, and insubordination to a direct order is a dismissible offense. My friend let his supervisors know that he was refusing to let the passengers out. He thought he was putting them in imminent danger. And there was a law passed in 1970 that actually allowed railroad workers to do that. Well, there was a back and forth with his supervisors several times, with them trying to intimidate him into opening the doors and letting the passengers out. And there were probably hundreds of people on the train. He stuck to his guns, and eventually the supervisors came back and relented. They gave him a signal that allowed him to proceed, and he took those people back to New Jersey. We'll never know if he had released those people, if they might have gotten out of the building or not. But I think about them almost every 9/11. Those of you who also know me know I like music. I don't play an instrument, and thank God for everybody, I don't sing. But I put a CD on today, the unofficial patron saint of New Jersey, Bruce Springsteen. I put on The Rising, and I was blasting it. And those of you who may stick around till when I leave this meeting tonight will hear me blast it on the way home. And there's a song called Into the Fire, where I believe what Bruce is talking about is the firemen and first responders that were going up into the tower. There's a lyric in there, and it just struck me. And it said, "May their strength give us strength. May their faith give us faith. May their hope give us hope. And may their love give us love." I hope all of us remember that. The last thing I said today at the memorial was, I also remember one thing after 9/11, we all seem to be a little kinder to one another. And I don't think that ever goes out of style or fashion. And I think to treat ourselves and each other a little bit better might be a good thing to do. Thank you, Freeholder Director.
Freeholder Robson.
Thank you, Freeholder Director. So I will close out my comments by finishing talking about economic development. So I am excited to announce that Burlington County Division of Economic Development and Regional Planning, along with Burlington County Commission, Bridge Commission, we will be hosting our first ever Restaurant Week. So we are excited about that. So it's going to be called the Taste of Burlington County Restaurant Week. So of course, the freeholders, we would like to spotlight local county restaurants at both so we could provide, you know, fine fare. And, of course, if you all like me, I don't like food, if that makes sense, but I love to eat out. So, I'm not a foodie, but I guess I just like to go and I like to be a part of the ambiance of the restaurant, get the feel of the restaurant, talk to the people. So I'm excited about this. Burlington County restaurants are diverse. We have so much to offer in all different types of cuisines, and this obviously will help our economy. So this is huge, and I am excited because this gives us an opportunity to find tons of hidden gems in Burlington County, which I'm sure we all have our local restaurants that we absolutely love in our towns, but we don't share our favorite restaurant. So this will give us an opportunity to hopefully get around the county throughout the week and share in these amazing restaurants, these hidden gems that we have. So a list of participating restaurants will be available shortly on our website. So we're inviting over 500 restaurants to participate in this event, and it's going to be held October 20th through the 26th. So we're super excited about this. This is just another great way to help our economy here locally, and of course to strengthen our community. We've got so many things that we can complain about, but I think it's fitting on a day like today for 9/11 for us to understand how important it is for us to be civil and support one another, and as Freehold O'Connell said, be kind to one another. As I remember, like I'm sure most of you all do, I remember exactly where I was when the planes hit. I remember the exact time. I even remember because I had a business trip scheduled for the very next day. So, and it was a business trip on the West Coast, so just imagine how it was getting to the airport the next day, so let alone the day of. So it's important for us to remember 9/11, the tragedy, remember the first responders, and if we could just pull anything from that, the kindness, being civil to one another. We all have our differences. I say it often up here, but if we could just find a way to communicate in a decent way to one another, we can get so much accomplished. So I will be asking that we almost do some type of connection to one another, just so we can say, yeah, I caught you being kind. I caught you being kind, and that alone will bring a smile to our faces because we've got so many things going on in Burlington County. So I don't want 9/11 to go without me having said that. So in closing, Restaurant Week, we're excited about it. We hope everyone will participate with us. Even if you're not in town, tell your friends, tell your family. Let your local communities know. October 20th through the 26th will be Restaurant Week, and we're excited. Everyone, thank you for coming tonight. Get home safely.
Thank you. The only thing that I have that I want to make everybody aware of is we have a gigantic elephant that's coming down to Burlington City on Saturday. People may remember the bronze elephant that was in the Burlington City Mall, or Burlington County Mall. She is going to rest at the Anchor in Burlington City. They are going to have a parade in her honor. Saturday, starting at 11 o'clock. I think her name's Petals, is that correct? Right? So we're going to be memorializing Petals down on the riverfront Saturday at 11 o'clock. So if you can come, I think it's going to be a nice event. I heard the parade's at 11 and drinking starts at 12. So I want to reiterate again the importance of this day. Not only for the people who lost their lives, but once again, to all the emergency and first responders. We forget that some of those people, in trying to help their fellow men and women, lost their lives. And it's something I think that, as Freeholder Hobson said, I go back long enough to remember where I was when President Kennedy was shot. And I certainly, as she said, remember where I was when 9/11 happened, and you never forget something like that. So with that, once again, I want to thank all the directors for being here this evening. Thanks for taking your time Once again, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you doing, keeping the big machine going. We couldn't do it without you. Thanks to everybody for coming, expressing your opinions and your comments. We do listen to them, whether you think we don't or not. And safe driving home. Thank you. At this time, I would take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Look out.